Hi guys, it's Professor Fernandez. I am so excited that you are towards the tail end of your semester. I'm so excited that you're just about to finish your primary source, which is the Serial podcast. And you are getting ready to do your argumentative essay. There's a lot of things we have to do to get you prepared. One, of course, is your working thesis. Another one is your annotated bib to get your sources ready. Another thing is your notes and organizing your notes. I'm going to teach you something that I learned when I was a little bit younger than you guys are now. I learned this in high school. This way of organizing your notes for, say, a big project or a research paper. I learned this in high school, and I have used it since high school. I've used it through college. I've used it through my master's program. I use it now. I teach it to pretty much all of my students who have to do research papers. Um, and you're probably wondering why I didn't teach you this earlier. You had a lot of things on your plate earlier. So this is a perfect time because you have all these sources. You probably have some notes. You have things highlighted. You probably have like a Word document somehow. If you saw a video that I did on how to use OneNote to keep track of all your stuff and all your notes, you probably have like a binder or a journal in your OneNote with all this nice information. So I'm going to show you how to kind of organize it and how to kind of skip a step in the writing process to go straight from, oh, I have to write my a draft of this paper straight into like from notes to draft, like kind of make it seamless. So I'm going to share here, and I'm going to share my iPad here. Um, if it lets me, we're going to try. We're going to screen mirror here. Great. So let's move that over. I'm actually going to do this electronically, but you can do this non-electronically. You don't need an iPad to do this. There's tons of software. If you have a tablet, you can use any software there. I'm using an app called CardFlow. There's lots of apps for Mac and lots of apps for Windows. So you don't necessarily have to do this electronically. You can just go to the dollar store and get a bunch of index cards, which is how I like to do it. But because I'm I'm recording this, I really needed to do this. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how like this app works because it's not about the app. It's about the actual thing. So one thing that you want to do is that you want to get a bunch of cards. If you're not doing this electronically or with an app, I would go to the dollar store or go to Walmart and just get a bunch of cards. 3x5 cards will do you. Like a stack of 100 will be fine. So it's like $1. I personally like the 4x6 because it gives you a little bit more space to write because you're going to have a lot of these cards. Okay. So I would go and grab a card, go grab a bunch of cards and not read my notifications. Great. Grab a bunch of cards because you're going to need them and you're going to write on them. So on a basic 3x5 card or 4x6 card, you will have one note. By one note, I mean one idea per card. And why you have to have one idea per card is because you're going to take these cards and rearrange them in the order that you want to use them. So this note-taking system is called the index card note-taking system. You can probably Google it. I'm not the only one that uses this. And I've done this many a time. All right. So what you want to do is kind of to organize your things. So right here is where you want to write the topic of your card. And I say topic of card because it's not the topic of your paper or your essay or the paragraph you want to write or even your thesis. It's the topic of the card. You're going to have one topic or one idea per card. You're not going to put a bunch of ideas. You're going to put one idea per card. An idea could be a quote that you want to use. It could be a thought. It could be a paraphrase. It could be a summary. So you want to have one per card, right? Don't stuff them in the card, because then it won't work. So you have the topic of the card on the left-hand side, right? And then what you want to do is, do you want to have a page number for the source that you are using? More than likely, you won't have a page number, especially if you are in my 1301 class and you're doing the Adnan Syed trial. You probably won't have a page number unless you're looking at court documents, right? If you're doing something else where you have to have a page number, maybe like a journal number, journal page number, that's where it goes on the top right-hand corner. And down here is where you're going to put the name of the author or source. Now, this is why it's so important for you to do an annotated bib or to do a working bibliography. And really, what a working bibliography is literally a list of your citations. It's really what that is. Or your research log, which is what I've asked you to do this entire semester if you're my 1301. It's important that you have that handy, because you're not going to put, say, if you have like the Intercept as a source, and there are 3 really good interviews with Jay Wilds for the Adnan Syed case, and I'm using that as an example. You're not going to put the Intercept because there's 3 of them, right? And you probably have all 3 on your working bibliography or your research log or your annotated bib, right? You want to put the last name and then maybe Intercept interview 3, right? It's just something to denote right here. This right here is something to denote what the source is, right? So that way it ties back to your works cited or your working annotation, your working bibliography, or your annotated bib or research log, or however you're listing your sources, right? Say something like researching the Adnan Syed case. And I'm using this as an example because this is my 1301 is probably going to use this video more than my 1302. Something like the Adnan Syed case, you are scheduled to have about 20 sources total for this that you've been researching the entire semester. You only need, I believe, like five or six. Look at the assignment sheet. Don't go by what I'm saying. I'm going off memory, but you only need 5 or 6, I think, for your actual paper. But you're choosing probably more than likely from that 20, right? So that way you don't have to go looking for anything. You already have these sources. Okay, so this is what your card is. In the middle here is the actual note you're going to write. So you're either going to do a quote, a paraphrase, a summary, or like your actual notes. And it's 1 per card. You don't want to put it all there, right? This is why I think 3x5 works better than 4x6, because with a 4x6, you kind of want to fill it, right? Because it's a big card. I personally just like the 4x6 cards because I tend to write big. But a 3x6, 3x5 will do you wonders. And you'll write 1 of these. They don't necessarily have to be all of them. They just 1 per card. Okay, so you have that. Let me see if I can get another one. All right, so that's it. That's all your cards. So let's say you have a topic, and maybe the topic is, again, Jay's alibi. Again, I'm going with what the research is for my 1301 class that's during the fall and spring semesters, because more than likely they're going to use this information. If you're in my 1302 class or in my other 1301 class that's during the summer or an 8-week, it's the same thing for you. It's just whatever your research project is, okay? So I don't want you to think, oh, she's only talking to her 1301 that's during the fall and spring semesters. I'm actually talking to everybody, but I'm using them as an example for this, okay? So let's say Jay's alibi. We're gonna this quote is gonna or this note is gonna be about Jay's alibi. And let's say we got this from Serial, right? Serial is our source. So you can go coning. And if I want to specifically say it's like episode 7, I can go ahead and say episode 7. This is just like an internal note for me to say, this is where I got this information. So that way I don't have to look for this twice or 3 times as I'm writing, right? So you have Jay's alibi. There's not gonna be a page number because I'm actually getting it from Serial. But if you are looking, say, um, in the transcripts, right? I provided transcripts and maybe it's on page 50 or something. Then you can put page 50. You can put the number 50 or page 50. It doesn't matter, right? Because this is for you, not for me. I'm not going to see this. So maybe the note we have about Jay's alibi is saying something like, it's a paraphrase, or it's a note, Jay's or Jay had. How about we do that? Try that again. Okay. So this is the note. We talked about Jay and having him having at least 3 versions of what happened. It's I know they're out of order, but his initial interview with the police, his second interview or their third interview or one of the interviews where he leads them to Hayes' car, and then of course what happened in the trial, and actually had more than 3. And then what happened in the second trial, because there were 2 trials, right? The first trial was a mistrial. The second trial is when Adnan got convicted. So this is the note that we're going to have, right? And we're done. Okay. Ooh, let's not do all that crazy. Okay, we're done with this. So now what we want now is to put that there, and we want another card, right? We want another card, and we're going to do the same thing. Maybe we have something else about Asia's letter, right? And we're going to write something about Asia's letter, and maybe we got this Asia's letter from actually Asia's letter. Maybe we read Asia's letter to Adnan. There's no page number, and then we have a note. Maybe we have a quote of some sort. Da 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 da. Right? And that's one thing. So we have that there, and eventually we're going to have a lot of cards, right? And we should be having a lot of cards. Here's the thing about cards: if you have enough cards, you can actually write this whole thing really easily, right? So we have 3 cards right now. Say you have a bunch of cards, right? What you want to do next is that you want to put them in order. You want to put them not in order, but you want to put them in piles. So say you had a stack about Asia's letters. Maybe you had another stack about Jay's alibi. Maybe you had another stack about the physical evidence. Maybe you had another stack here and another stack there. You're going to put them all together. And then you're going to see what you have in the stack. I personally would pick the stack where you have the most notes, right? And it could be anything, right? Maybe you have a lot about physical evidence, maybe you have a lot about how Jay has lied, maybe you have a lot about how Adnan has lied, maybe you have whatever you have, right? Um, and of course, if you're in my 1302, whatever you've got. So you would stack them by topic. Let me bring this up. You would stack them by the topic of the card. And then I would take each individual stack and you put them in the order that you want to um, that you think they should be in, right? Maybe you have a bunch of cards about Jay's alibi, and um, you have it, and it's about that thick, and you just put them in the order that you think they go, in a logical order, right? You put that aside. You do the same for the other stacks. The stack with the least amount of cards, you put it to the side. You don't have enough evidence for that at all. You don't have enough there to do anything with. The top three stacks are where usually you want to be with, right? Then I would take the stacks and I would put the stacks in the order that you want to talk about them in your paper, right? So maybe this stack of Jay's alibis and this stack of Asia's letters and this stack of Adnan's reaction or whatever go here, right? You have all these stacks. You put the stacks in order. So let me rewind. You've put the individual cards in the order within the stack. Now you're putting the bigger stacks in the order that you want to talk about them in your paper. Now here's the fun part. If you're doing this, like physically, with a physical card, I would literally just get a legal pad and get some tape, preferably I like washi, and you just put the cards, in the order, in the order, and you tape them down in the order. What you have there then is an outline for your paper. And all you got to do is type it in. Done. That's your first draft. And that's the draft you work from. So you don't have to think about anything. Well, you do have to eventually write your introduction with your thesis, and you have to write your conclusion. But the meat of the paper is pretty much already done. You'll have to write transitions for in between each card. And frankly, if you wanted to do that with your legal pad, and just you're gonna put the first card down, then maybe write a transition or a sentence of transition, put the next card down, and so on and so forth, you can do that. Then you have your whole paper. You're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of work, and then I have to type it up. Yeah, it is. But you know what's a lot of work? When you have no idea what you're doing and you're just typing something up random, and then you have to chunk it all because it's not correct. That's a lot more work. It's better to do the work on the front end and then revise and edit, and polish and turn it in, rather than sit there and copy and paste and look through things and think what you're going to put in there, because a couple things are going to happen. One, you're going to plagiarize. You're not going to mean to plagiarize, but you're going to copy and paste something that you don't know what it is or where it's from, because you forgot to actually let me unshare here. You forgot to actually cite it, and it's going to hit, and I'm going to have to give you a 0 because you plagiarized, even though you really didn't mean to do it, right? So that's one. Two, there's a lot of information. It's going to be flying at you all at the same time, and you're not going to be organized, and you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to start crying in front of your computer screen. It happens. Then you will send me an email at 2 or 3 in the morning. And I have to talk you down from the ledge. We don't want you to get to that point. So we're trying to avoid that. So is this a lot of work? I think it's a lot of work at the front end, because you do have to take the notes on the 3x5 cards. You do have to organize them. You do have to put the stacks together. And then you organize each individual card in the stack, and then you put the stacks in the order you want to talk about. And you do have to type things on a piece of paper, and you do have to write between the cards. True, but when you're typing it in, right? When you're typing it in, you're actually writing the draft. The draft is already done. By the time you type it in, that's the second draft. You've actually skipped the first draft. I kid you not, it works every single time. You've skipped the first draft because you literally have written it with index cards. And a legal pad with literally a $2 investment at Walmart or the dollar store. 3, if you throw in the washi tape, you have written your entire paper. And by the time you type it, it's your second draft, which means what you're spending more time on than anything else is not going through and like looking at your source and da 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 da. You already have your source. You have to, of course, do your in-text citations, and you have to do your works cited, and that is probably already done because you did your annotated bib. So you just have to do your in-text citations. But yeah, you skipped your first draft and you go straight to your second draft. And so all you have to do is literally polish it. Make sure everything makes sense. Make sure there are transitions. Make sure, read it out loud to make sure it sounds like it's supposed to sound, like, a college student wrote it. A very intelligent college student wrote it. Go to the writing lab, have them help you make sure that the thesis is straight. Like, that's all polishing stuff, which sometimes happens like an hour before the paper is due. You can do this a week before it's due and turn it in early and get it done and out of your way. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. This has helped me oodles of times, like 20-page paper, writing a thesis with many, many cards and a big table. It has helped me, and it kept me organized, and I got an A. It worked. So I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later. Bye.